Hi all. So it's Paul back here again. I've not posted in a while, so I thought I'd try and get one posted up. I did a Shadespire tournament at the weekend. Now I've not been gaming for a while properly. I've been playing mainly. I have been playing Shadespire. That's about pretty much it in Kill Team. So I thought I'd share with you my deck. I played with Zarbag Gitz. Now annoyingly for the tournament, I didn't get them all painted. I'm a bit annoyed by that because usually I quite like to have fully painted army, but work and life got in the way. So I've got them all painted but two, which is obviously Zagback and Digsbit. So I'll get them finished hopefully over the coming days and weeks, and show them fully painted when they're all finished. But I was lucky enough. I managed to come first, so I did quite well at over 4 games. I won all four. Some with big margin, some with just a small margin of one. So I thought I'd go over what objectives I use for them. Now probably isn't the best deck. There's probably a better meta deck out there. But I find for the way I play, which is a kind of mix of defensive and full out attack, I kind of hold a few back and then take the rest forward. That this works quite well for me. Especially the objectives work extremely well. I think the lowest score I got in the tournament was about 12 or 13 glory. So generally, I get high enough glory with them, and they're easy to achieve. But it does take a bit of counter playing when you're playing it to make sure you can achieve certain ones. So I'll go over the objectives first. And I'll talk why I picked each one of them. So I've got obviously Supremacy first. Supremacy is a bit of a gamble. You're hoping that you get the three objectives on your side, so you can hold them quite early on in the game. But lucky enough for the Goblins, they're movement 3, or most of them are movement 3 anyway, all apart from Snort Tongue. But as soon as you inspire, they become movement 4. So the chances are, even if you haven't got all 3 objectives, you've got a very good chance of taking them. If you get it in the end, hold it to the end and just try and snatch it right at the end. It's 3 glory points, which is achievable with goblins if you can keep them alive quick enough. Then there's Pure Carnage. Now, Pure Carnage is one I think any goblin player has to have. It's a must-have on your objective deck. The fact that it needs 7 players out of action, or more out of action, in the third end phase. Now, with goblins, you're bound to lose in any given battle. You're bound to lose 5. If not 6. So it only means you need a couple of kills on the opposite team to get it. If you can pull it out, if you got it at the beginning first, if it comes out and you first pull it, it's a bit of a card wasting because it holds your deck up. But at the same time, it's pretty much a guaranteed 3 glory every time if you can pull it out. Tackle Supremacy 1 and 4. Objective capture 1 and 4. Not the best card in the deck, I must admit. But again, it's a bit of a gamble. I've used that one because it plays along with some of the upgrade cards that I've got. There's a chance it'll work out. If it doesn't, it's 2 glory, but it kind of sits in there, and it can be useful. Again, luck with the objectives, but also played right with Supremacy. It can be quite a nice little booster. Then we've got ones I like Denial. Now Denial I really like. I've managed to score that in 3 out of 4 games that I played at the weekend. The choice is if you can pick off, especially with the smaller warbands, you can pick them off and come into your area. If you were setting up the board, you can do an offset setup, which allows you to kind of limit how many they can get into your area. But it also means you can build a bit of a shield wall up and help that. So that's quite good. Again, it's three objectives. It also works with another objective that I've got coming up in a minute, which I'll show you. Dank Haven, which is a Git special one. Again, play those two together. If you get them, 3 out of 4 games, I've scored both of them at the same time. It's 5 glory points, so it's worth having that one for the 3 it comes with. And obviously, it's from the original one. Obviously, what you see there is a promo art kit from one of the last year's Shadespires. Then Poised to Strike. Again, it's a 1 glory point. Annoyingly, it's scored in an M phase, so it's probably not the better one to keep. But again, I managed to score it in all 5. You've got 3. 3 friendly fighters and an enemy fighter. It's not hard to run if you run up Dig. Especially with the Scurry rule or the fact that Diggits can move him and both his squigs together. It doesn't take long to get that one. If it's an early pull, it's a great point. Not so good if you pull it near the end, but at the start, it's a good little pull. Then Martyred. Again, you're playing goblins. It's kind of a 50-50 guarantee. 50-50. I say at the start. But especially near the end of it, you're guaranteed to lose it. So I'd say you've got more than 80% chance of scoring that every time. So I would take it happily. I scored it 50-50. I scored 2 out of the 4 games I played. But it's scored immediately. And you do need the immediatelies in there. It allows you to sort of feed through your decks a bit quicker and get more glory points out on the table early on. So definitely, I think Mart's a good one, especially goblins. They're weak enough that they take out by most things in one pack. Then, as I mentioned earlier on, Dank Haven. Fantastic card again. It's exactly the same as Dunal. Weirdly enough, though, it's only worth 2 glory rather than the 3 glory that Dunal's worth, which is why I have both in there. Yeah, it just works. It's another 2 glory points. Again, 90% of the time you're going to score it. Killer. Now, this works really well with goblins. Annoyingly, again, it's an end phase one, so a lot of mine are end phases rather than immediately. The next couple come up immediately in a minute, but yeah. So this game works really well. The chances are you've got your archers. If you get the right upgrade, which I've got, which allows them to volley fire, you got 2 shooting it together. And also they're not only doing 1 damage each, so they can attack. And when your bigger guys, whether it be Diggit, whether it be Bone Racker, or whether it be Zarbag himself attacking, you're likely to take that out of action. It's a quick end phase 1 point. Again, you probably could take it out for putting an immediately score 1 in there, but I just find it does happen quite quickly on, especially in the first turn or second turn. So if you pull it early enough, it's a really good card to have. What Armor? A fantastic little one. Again, it's scored immediately. The draw of that one is once you've lost Diggits, then the 2 squigs get cleave, and when Zaba inspires, he gets cleave as well. So the chance of actually getting that is quite high. It's scored immediately. It's a 1 glory point, but it does work really well. Again, Mad Scurry is a must-have for any Goblin army. The chance of getting that, especially in the first turn or second turn, is very high. I say you got like a 90% chance of doing it if you play it right. Especially with the Goblin Scurry rule, and obviously with Diggit's action that he can move himself and he can move his squig. So it doesn't take a lot actually. So you've got the 5 that have moved. And it's 2 glory points. So I think any Goblin army without it is lacking. Then you've got Scragged. Again, it's an enemy fighter. The chance of you achieving it is very high. It's only 1 glory, but the fact that it's an immediately score means it's a bonus to have. And if you pull it early on, I managed to, again, this was a 50-50 card for me. I scored it 2 out of 4 games. Works really well. And then Obliterated. This is a wee bit of a gamble, if I'm honest. I've scored it 1 out of 4 games on this time round. It's all about the luck of Snort Tongue. Obviously, you've got to inspire him. So when you activate Snort Tongue or Sour Tongue, how you want to pronounce it, you can choose to become inspired for a reaction. However, this obviously has to be, and then he has to take a friendly fire action. Now, the 3rd game I played with him, he actually, as inspired, he did very well. Every dice roll I made was perfect. It's what I need him to do. So it does work really well. It's a score immediately, and it's a 2 glory point score immediately. So it is worth having just for getting through your army quick enough. Obviously, if you pull it and he's already been taken out of action, it's a discard and pull at the end of the round to see what else you can get. So that were my 12 objectives. I say some of them could change, especially the Tactical Supremacy 1 and 4, and possibly you're looking at Supremacy maybe taken out. The others I think work really well, especially the Nile and Dark Haven I think you've got to have, and even Obliterated and Mad Scurry. I think they are 4 you must have in any Goblin deck, just purely because of how easy they are to achieve and the benefits that come from that. Right, we're going to look at the upgrade cards now. We'll start with the upgrades, and then we'll look at your Gambit cards. Okay, so 2 seconds, I'll get them set up, and then I shall be back with you. Okay, so these are the 11 upgrade cards. Yes, you've got to have an even number of upgrade cards and ploy cards and Gambit cards, so I've got 11 of each. Slightly over 10. It makes it a bit harder, with enough to have the extra 2 to get stuff out when you want them out, but I have found it works really, really well. So I'll go through them a bit and how I use them. So concealed weapon there. I find this works really well. I tend to use this on Diggit because I want to run him in quickly, because if he dies, the squigs get cleave, especially against the high armor small bands. Having the squigs around with cleave is fantastic. So I tend to run Diggit in early. So if I can get that out early enough and give that to him, it's fantastic, because on a crit, obviously, he's then doing 4 damage. I then do Ravenous. So I've got to take Ravenous. Again, Ravenous, that's for the squigs. Again, the +1 damage to attack action takes up to 3 damage, which is fantastic, especially when they inspire, because it's 3 damage with cleave. So it's one that I find works really well. I've used it a few times. I've managed to get it out. Other times it comes out and it's not quite as effective as I want it to be. But I used that upgrade twice, and it again against Mollig and against the dwarfs, it played really, really well. Now this is again Firebrand. So if mixing Firebrand along with Concealed Weapon, it means on a critical, Diggs is going to be getting damage 5. So I played this one. I managed to get his out quite early on against Mollig's Mog. He went in. Normally he didn't get the critical, but you know, that 5 damage gets Mollig early on. Yes, it means he inspires, but it means he's got 2 out, 2 left. So it does change it really. It does sort of give the damage. So it's a bit of a gamble play, but if it goes off, fantastic. If not, you know, he still does 2 damage, so it's not too bad. Vindictive Glare. Now I've used this a few times. I find it works well. The joy of it is the range 3. There are certain upgrades you can get. I haven't included in this actually, and I should have done. Mainly because I put it in my son's deck for his Eyes of 9, which give you an innate lightning strike, so it's always going to hit no matter what. Obviously, you just want to roll critical so you can get damage 2. It's a range 3, which is quite nice. You can keep them back with the archers and far away, which is a nice way of putting it. Extra bounce. I find that works really well if you're moving them up, mainly because depending on how you set up, they could be at the back and you can run them forward a wee bit, run them through dig gits, running through your own players and attack from behind, which annoys a lot of the teams you're playing against because they want to take the squigs out quite early on, so you can protect them a little bit and then run them forward. I would mix this one at the same time with Ravenous, so I'd put them on the same one. It's a bit putting your eggs in one basket, as it were, but the fact that the damage it can do is definitely worthwhile. Then the Dazzling Key. Now, as you remember, I had the Objective 4 and 1 in my objective set, and this is one of the reasons why. I try and hold it to near the end. It plays really well, and actually, to be fair, I used it twice in the tournament, and both times, you know, it's 2 extra glory points just for being on an objective, so it does play really well. It's a bit of a holdout. If you pull it early doors, you want to keep it to the end. You don't want to show your hand too early, because what you want to do is put it on a player and then have the opposing player go, "Oh, I'm taking him out now." So it does work, and that works along with another key I've got as well. So that does work quite well, the keys, especially as there's a lot of goblins. If you can keep them at the back, keep them protected for a wee little bit, you've got a good chance of scoring that off early on. Sniffer Spite, again, use this 3 times and it worked really well. The good joy is upgraded the move 4, so you can keep actually Zarbag out of the way for most of the game, and then literally in the last turn, even the last activation, if you play it right, you can run him up, drop him into enemy territory for an extra glory point. It's only 1 extra, but if I'm honest, actually, the game against Mogs, I think, ended up being 13-12, so the extra point he got me was the winning grace for that one, so that did really well, and definitely worth having. Next upgrade is Volley Caller. Again, it's a must. It really is. You keep your bows, so you keep your bow guys together. That's Red Cap, Dibiz, and Stick It together. And then you guaranteed 1's firing off, 2's firing off every time. If you keep them far enough away with it defensive behind them, they're firing away and away. You know, 2 turns, 3 turns, that's, you know, you're getting anywhere from 2 to 6 shots. It's worth having, and I just think it's a must-have for any Goblin army. Great Strength is the next one. Now again, it's a bit of a gamble, this one. I like it. I generally put it on either Zarbag or Gitz, purely because of they're going to be in combat. He does, however, have a use putting it in Prog Donetta. It also does 1 damage, but actually, do you know what? Whacking out means he's doing 2 damage, 2 dice, and it's the benefit he has of weakening the opponent. Actually, bit of fancy. I've not used it on him yet. I generally use it on a Zarbag, so it makes me damage 3, which again is quite a nice little run at it. You could use it on, say, just Gitz. It would really power me. It'd be obviously 3 damage, 6 on it. If you put all the upgrades on him together, he's going to be quite nasty, but again, it's all eggs in one basket, and he's not the strongest person going. And then definitely Fortitude. Yeah, love this card. I rightly or wrongly, tend to play it with Snurt Stortongue, especially once he's been inspired. He can't move, he gets +2 wounds. Now, you talk about makes him a 5 wound character, and you know, he's just fun. 5 wound character with 3 defense dice. You know, it's fantastic. So I think that would be the option, and it's just a bit of fun. But I like it because it won't people up. And then there's the Formless Key again. So that along with Dazzling Key, if you can play it right and you've got someone holding the objective 4 and you've got that spare glory point to spend, whack it on Formless Key. It's an extra glory point. So, you know, if you're really lucky, you're getting 3 glory points there from both keys. If you want to be really snarky, the person really upset them, you can run Zarbag. You put them both on Zarbag, especially if the objective 4's in the other opponent's half. Run him in there, grab it right at the end, and then he's obviously getting 4 if you give him the Sniffer Sprite upgrade. So that's my actual upgrade cards. I say there's a couple that obviously happily change array. Great Strength is 50-50, but I think the rest of them actually, if I'm honest, you need the keys. Okay, the Dazzling Key you could change out quite happily. The Formless Key I'd keep, because the chances are you're going to be able to hold a objective at the end of a turn, however you look at it, because you have 1 or 2 in your own half. The other thing is Dazzling Key I think is good, but again, you've got to hope you get 4 or you can get to it. But for the extra cards, is why I put it in there as the extra card to make it to 11. I think it's definitely worth it, and I think it would be a shame not to have it in there. Right, I'll go out the Gambit cards and we'll go through them. Okay, so I've set up these are the point ones we've got now. We'll go from this side. So I've got Sneaky Stabbing. Now it's obviously as a spell. You know, if you cast it, you get +1 dice and cleave to first attack action with range 1 or 2. So it's 2 lightnings, you know, so it should be able to pull it off. And it's that +1 dice and cleave. Now, if you get that along with the objective, obviously a successful cleave attack, you know, you put it on some of them, especially put it on, say, Zarbag, that's 4 dice for attacking with. And it's got cleave, so it has its benefits. It's a wee little spell to pull off if you get it, but I think it's definitely worth having. Curse of the Moon, obviously it's a Gambit spell, a bit harder to get off because it's the two whirlwinds. But if you do cast it, obviously choose a hex within 4 hex to cast it. Any fight in that hex or any adjacent to it suffers 1 damage. This is quite good for taking little pot shots at things like Molly Mog, who they tend to form up as a defensive line, or even the dwarves, so they want to sit next to each other. Any sort of small thing like that, they want to huddle together to be defensive. That works really well because it's only 1 damage, but if it does go off and you can hit, say, 3 people with it, fantastic. Then you've got Sphere of Herish. Again, this is played right, and it is depending what you get in your hand. This can do really well. Again, it's 2 lightning +1 dice. If by any chance, you know, you get it in the right time, again, you're looking at putting on Zarbag, that's 4 attacks. You're whacking it on even a Diggs with 3 attacks. You know, so it's definitely worth having. Fungo's Blessing. Employee card. So again, place after an enemy action that's taken enemy adjacent to friendly action out of attack of weapon damage. Just whack it on them. You know, it seems to. It's a little pot shot, little slice at one of the enemies, especially playing the big wound armies, where you're going against Morghast Fiends, you're going against the Orcs, you're going against Molig. It's just a little bit of extra damage poking at them, and actually that can do a lot of damage in the long run. By taking that 1 wound off, and you can just kill them off when you attack them next time. Trust of Luck. I put this in there. I'm tempted to lose it. I didn't use it, if I'm honest, in the last competition. I have used it before to quite successful, but 50-50, I think. It allows you to change out quickly if you need to, but I don't think it's necessary in the deck. As I said, there are some changes can be made to this deck, but again, it has its benefits. If you've got really bad hand and you're stuck in the middle of it, it's worth giving it a go. Lethal Ward. Fantastic little ploy again. You're playing, say, the dwarves who need them. You know, poke a bit of fun at them, take a bit of wound off them for nothing. Doesn't do much. It's just a card, but it's all guaranteed 1 wound because generally someone's going to be holding an objective at some point in the game if you get it early on enough. Then Little Way. Now I like to play Little Way if I've at the same time as Sphere of Haelish, because obviously that gives me +2 dice to my attack. So you're attacking with, you know, sort of 5 dice or 4 dice for a lot of things. So it's a bit of a guaranteed you're going to hit with something like that, and it's a bit of fun. I think again it's a must-have for the Grots. I think for the Gitz even. I think it's just a bit of fun, and I think having it does bring that extra hitting power that they lack in so many places. And then, of course, Spoils of Battle. Who doesn't want it? Who doesn't like it? I think it should be in every deck, no matter what deck you're running. The fact that you get a free upgrade without a Cluster of Glory means you get this early, especially if you get it early on. You can do some nice little damage early on, and you can get some good upgrades straight away without worrying about needing to kill something off if you're going against the big boys. Then you've got the Emboldened. You know, a bit of fun. You know, if you've got someone who's just surviving, someone else survives, bit of saving a wound, bit of healing. The Gits aren't the strongest, so anything that can get them alive a bit longer is quite handy. And as well, the heal potion, again, that just keeps them alive. As it's same as anything, you know, you get 1 wound or 2 wound back. That saved me twice, if I'm honest. I played it on Snort Tongue, Sour Tongue even, sorry. I keep saying it wrong. And what a difference it made. Kept them alive 2 or 3 times. That with Emboldened, it's just fantastic. And then Make Some Noise, again, who doesn't love it? Especially that one when Dig Gets taken out of action. You've obviously got the Squigs who are inspired with Cleave, and you just haven't quite, you can't move them together anymore because they don't come under the Scurry rule, which is a bit of a shame. But being able to push them up 2 hexes each means you can keep them together as an attacking force, which is quite nice. And obviously, you know, 3 dice when they're inspired, they're 3 dice 2 damage with Cleave rather than the 2 dice 2 damage without Cleave. So I would definitely say keeping the Squigs together is worth it, and that again is another ploy I think is definitely needed within the game and how it plays. I play my Warband quite aggressive to attacking. I always run up Dig Git with the Bone Racker and Gorbax up early on, and behind them I always make sure that Snurk Sour Tongue is there with them. The archers typically form like a nice little line behind them, trying to keep that distance, and it can be more of a hassle hounding people than anything else. Prog I don't use properly, I must admit I need to use him a bit better. I don't tend to chase him up as I should do. He doesn't tend to do much in the game, but he is very much an objective holder, and he's the one I'll generally, if I can do, I'll give the Formless Key and Dazzling Key to, because he'll be on the whole objective at the end. If I can get 4 in my air, perfect. If I can't, he'll at least have the Formless Key if I get a chance to upgrade it. And I find myself, I have, especially near the end of it, if I'm just lacking in glory points, I have rat through my upgrades quite quickly, just to get rid of them, just to get the key that I wanted, just to get that extra point. I was like, just to, if it's going to be a loss, minimise the damage, or again, sneak the win if I need it. But yeah, Digpit goes for, I run him up first. He does his sort damage. When he dies, obviously, as I said before, the Squigs get Cleave, so they then become a bit more dangerous and a bit more aggressive. And then following up behind them, Sour Tongue. Now again, he's a gamble. He works or doesn't work. There's no in between. But I would definitely say that he's fun to play with, and he's just fun. If they rolled him off right, like I did, when I played Molligs, he literally took off 4 damage off Mollig through his pushes in two different times, and he took out the Flying Squig in 1 lot of pushes. So literally, in 3 or 4 movements, 3 movements, he did these random movements. He took Squig out first, then he went for Mollig and got perfect roll against Mollig, and then the last turn of the game, I had one hope, and that was to take Mollig out to win that game against Mollig, which because I had Denial and Dankhaven, sorry, and again I needed to roll 2 hammers and a swords, and I rolled the dice and got 2 hammers and a sword. So when he plays that well, he's fantastic. Obviously, if he doesn't, a bit of a lost cause, but it's fun. I was playing with the Skelly Sceptical Guard when I first started doing Shadespire, and then quickly, as soon as the Gits came out, quickly moved on to the Gits, just purely for fun factor. So that's the deck I used for them. I say it netted me a win. It's not the best deck out there. I'm pretty sure you guys can look over it, read over it, and would take a couple of ploys out, a couple of upgrade out, and probably a couple of the objectives out and chain them around to suit the way you play. But that's, that's not a problem. That's the best way of doing it, I find, is that I've built for myself. I don't tend to go for meta decks because I'd rather have a bit of fun with it. And obviously, I think meta decks in this is a bit of 50-50 because obviously it all relies on the fact that your dice are going to be nice to you that day. And if they're not, dice aren't being nice to you that day, doesn't matter how good your cards are. So have fun. Comment below if you've got any suggestions for changing this deck. The next competition I've got, I'm not sure when that is. It'll be in a few months' time, I reckon, probably a month or 2. I may look at running a different army My son runs the Eyes of Nine, but if I'm honest, he's not had much success with them. I think that's just because of the way he plays them. He's a bit too aggressive for them. So we look at making him probably an Orc Army, and I'm tempted to look at Stormcasts in some form of way, just to see how they play. I've not used them yet. If not, the Dwarfs are certainly calling to me. Happy gaming. Comment below if you want to see more, and comment below if you've got any suggestions yourself or any comments. Thank you very much.